Why I don't make Christian art as a Christian. That's the question. And that's what we're going to talk about. So, welcome to the podcast. My name is Gunnar Lane. I am a young and aspiring slash kind of I published a short story independently basically. Um Aspiring slash I kind of am an author. I don't know. But anyway, I'm working on my first fantasy novel. It's kind of lyrical, kind of philosophical, not super hard fantasy, that kind of stuff. But anyway, welcome to my podcast. This is episode 2, and I'm feeling a lot better about this one. So let's get into it. As you saw from the title being Why I Don't Make Christian Art as a Christian. You either clicked on this like angry, you're like, what? How could you? Or you're like, oh yeah, I understand. Let me explain myself, because this is a very fun topic. This is a very good topic, and it's a very beautiful topic that is exciting to talk about, because I like to share this with people, because it is very important, and it's a very bad misconception in our society today, and in Christianity, if I'm allowed to say so. So let's read a quote. The Christian shoemaker does his duty not by putting little crosses on shoes, but by making good shoes, because God is interested in good craftsmanship. Now, sadly, I did not write that. I mean, if I wrote that, I probably could have just ended my career and lived off of all of the money that would have got me, because that quote is so awesome. People would have just handed me money. Just be like, wow, you changed my life. But I didn't write that. So supposedly Martin Luther is the source of that quote, but also supposedly he's not. So I'm gonna be honest with you, I first saw this quote on Instagram, and then I looked it up trying to find it for this podcast, which it's a quote I think about a lot because it's very good, and I'll read it again soon. But I first found it on Instagram, and I was like, that's awesome. So I looked it up for the podcast, who it was from, so I can make sure to acknowledge them correctly, how they should be acknowledged. And it's like attributed to Martin Luther, but scholars have like no direct proof he ever said that. But it does, I guess, supposedly really go along with his theology. I'm like low-key don't know anything about Martin Luther. I know he nailed the 95 thesis or whatever, but yeah, that's bad that I don't know that much about Martin Luther. But anyway, that's the quote. Let's read it again. The Christian shoemaker does his duty not by putting little crosses on shoes, but by making good shoes, because God is interested in good craftsmanship. So essentially, what this quote is trying to teach us here is that when you put crosses on items of clothing, it's sinful. It's terrible. Burn all of your cross necklaces. I'm serious. That's what I would tell you if I didn't know ball. So listen up. I don't know ball, by the way, if that's not realized. But goodness, I love this quote. I love this quote. So this is why, and this is what I mean when I say why I don't make Christian art as a Christian. So to explain myself better, okay, I make art that constantly reflects Jesus, because Jesus is a part of my life. Jesus is a part of the earth I live in. He is my source of everything. Everything I do is for him. There's no divide, right? There's no divide between my life with him in my life without him. I'm just with him. Okay? So recording this podcast is just as spiritual, if you will, as if I was evangelizing on the streets right now. Both are good things. Like, I don't know. Let's take it even farther. Watching a movie, listen, and I fully believe this, watching a movie at home is just as spiritual as if I was on the mission field. Both have their place. There's a time for everything, right? But God is with me just as much then. Okay? God is supporting me just as much then. Of course, as long as I'm not watching some bull crap. But the point is we tend to create this divide, and especially when it comes to art, this sacred and this secular divide, and it really bothers me. And this is the problem why Christian art, like Christian music, Christian literary fiction, Christian films, they oftentimes get a very bad rep. And I am on board most of the time with the cringe accusations because some of it is very corny, very cringe. And I'm not being a hater, but my problem is my problem is the mindset, okay? That's what I need to clarify. My problem isn't Jesus being talked about in art, because I blatantly do that all the time in all of my stuff. I think that's beautiful. Okay, I'm not ashamed to talk about Jesus. I'll talk about him anywhere. I'll go spray paint Jesus on the side of a school bus if I want it. No, I won't. Don't do that. That's vandalizing. Don't do that. The point is, I'm not afraid to talk about Jesus. So I'm not against putting Christianity, if we want to call it that, in art. I'm against the mindset of, as a Christian, I make Christian music, or as a Christian, I make Christian fiction. No, I write art. I just write fantasy, right? It's no different than the Mormon who atheists. You don't go to the like the library. You don't go to the library. There's not a section that's like atheist fiction. There's not a section that's like Mormon fiction. Now, I understand other religions have their own kind of fiction, just stuff they implement into their stories. But I hope you understand what I'm trying to say, right? So when I make art, obviously Jesus is going to come out of it, right? But my art isn't, it's not a separate genre. It's just from a separate source. Okay? So my problem, like, again, I said this a lot. I just want to clarify. It's not with God and art. It's with the mindset of it. We're like holifying what we do. Dude, just write your dope pirate moon spaceship story. Just do it with Jesus, man. Like that, like literally just do it with Jesus. Let it be holy. Like, you don't have to create this division. Now, I listen to worship music. I read, I watch like faith-based movies, stuff like that. That's great. That's all good and great. But this mindset that's plaguing the culture, that there's just a divide that I don't appreciate. I don't know how directly to say that. Right for this, right. I got it. I know how to say it, and I just said this earlier. My supper's done. Thank you, Mother. Oh, our plans have been interrupted. I will continue, though. And yes, I will eat. I'm sorry for the people who don't appreciate that. Write from a separate source, not for a separate genre. Okay? God is just as proud of you if you wrote your Pirate Moon space story than if you wrote a story about a kid who goes to another world and learns about Jesus in the process. Both are great, okay? But don't create this mental spiritual divide, okay? It and don't dumb down art for the sake of making it Christian or whatever. I don't know why that even happens. Like, I don't know genuinely why Christian stuff like low key sucks sometimes. And this is going to sound prideful to people who aren't Christians or who don't believe in Jesus. I'm sorry if that's how it sounds to you. That's not what I mean. This is just the truth of what I believe and the truth of what I know. We as Christians, being followers of a God who is the creator, should be giving the most artistic, the most creative things. And you don't have to sell your soul to get there. So that's all I'm trying to say is you just make good shoes, bro. Just make good shoes and Jesus will do it with you. I'm sorry for the eating. I think it's so wired into our minds, right? That we gotta set ourselves apart and be sanctified. And yes, we do. But I think we get that wrong a little bit. Being sanctified is thinking more and more with the mind of Christ, not cutting yourself off. You know what I'm saying? The light shouldn't be hidden under a basket, and the light shouldn't wear a mask of a different genre, right? When I release my books, I'm sure there will be very dramatic parallels between Jesus and things that happen. And I'm purposely doing that. I'm going to be honest, because that's all the beauty I see, right? So just like how someone with another worldview, when they write their stories, it's gonna bleed into it. And so when I like publish my books and stuff, I never want to get into this field where I'm like only books for like the church. You know what I mean? Like, I want my books to be read in church and outside of church. I want them to be read everywhere. I don't write just for the Christian. I write for beauty, for God, for art, because it's awesome and it's fun, and that's what I love doing. And I want to share this beautiful worldview I believe I have, or just a good story. I've wrote like just straight fantasy. It doesn't even mean anything, and that's just as spiritual as if I were to make a worship album or something. Oh yeah, I feel bad eating, but I'm about to gang, bro. This is this is what breakfast or supper is supposed to look like. I'm from the Midwest, right? I don't know what y'all eat anywhere else, but you fry up those eggs, you fry up that bacon, you butter and jelly that toast, man, and you put maybe some salt and pepper on the bacon. Then this is what I do in my family, okay? You know that Tony's Sachets? I don't know what it's called. Tony's something seasoning, right? And you take that baby, you just sprinkle it on there. Now, I think it's good, but my dad, bro, he's a super fan, bro. That goes on everything. I'm pretty sure I saw him put it on ice cream one time. That actually never happened. It just sounded really funny. Mm. Wow. I got an awesome point to make. You probably didn't see me right then thank God for my food or pray before my food. And that isn't because of anything evil in me. It is because I'm always thanking God. And that doesn't mean, and you got to be careful when you say stuff like this, because people accuse me, be like, well, you need to acknowledge him consciously, right? And there are times to acknowledge him consciously, but me sharing that meal with you guys was me being just as thankful to God and for this moment. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's too much of a divide where we gotta be so like, this is spiritual, this is secular. No, my supper came pre-blessed, bro. Because my mom was in there making it for me. You know what I'm saying? My mom was in there making it for me, pouring her heart out into this. And I'm sitting here receiving it with gratitude, right? And I'm sharing with you guys about life and about what I think art is. That was my prayer over that food. You know what I'm saying? This is awesome stuff. I love talking about this, bro. And you know, when I do these podcasts, I think I said this on the last one. It's also like I'm talking to myself. Because I'll get down and stuff, and you got to remind your soul sometimes. You got to remind your soul. You got to say, be thankful, soul. You got to say, trust in your hope. So that's what I'm doing on this podcast. And I'm not just sharing with you guys. I'm reminding myself the truth, right? So, that's enough yap about that. I would give y'all a piece of this bacon, but you can't eat through a screen, so that kind of sucks. Maybe someday they can do that. All right, I'm gonna read that quote again just to end it. And I genuinely want, if you're listening to this, I genuinely want you to think about that. I want you to think, I just want you to think how much God loves you. God loves you so much that you are serving God, watching a movie with your family, just as if you're serving God on the streets. You know what I'm saying? There's a time and place for everything. But if it's through Christ, it's beautiful either way. You know what I'm saying? Okay. The Christian shoemaker does his duty not by putting little crosses on shoes. I burped again. I did that last episode. I'm so sorry. Double burp, just like last episode. Wow. That's a really gross thing to say. The Christian shoemaker does his duty not by putting little crosses on shoes, but by making good shoes, because God is interested in good craftsmanship. Thank you, Lord, that you're interested in good craftsmanship. You're the most beautiful, Lord. Okay. Also earlier I made it pretty clear I was joking about the whole no shoes on crosses thing. That was a joke, of course. No shoes on crosses. What am I saying? No crosses on shoes thing. That was a joke. But all right. I, as a young indie storyteller, have been very inspired this week. And let me remind you, you guys get the podcast a week late. So today is June 2nd. Bro. Let's see. How many days ago was that? Y'all gotta know what I'm talking about. I want you to guess. Put it in the comments. Put it in the comments what your guess is right now, because I am so inspired. How many days ago? 1, 2, 3, 4 days ago, guys, and it's June 2nd. You gotta know this. Bro. 20-year-old director. Pretty sure that's how old he is. Kane Parsons, bro, just gave us the Backrooms. The official Backrooms movie. And I've seen it twice in theaters already, bro. It was fire. This is not a deep dive into that, but I want to address the people that are whining about it. Okay? Stop being pretentious. Stop it. Stop being mean to my boy. Don't be mean to him. It was a good movie. Also, it was his very first feature film, and you wouldn't have ever known. Directors who have been in this business probably longer than he has been alive are releasing some slop compared to that. Okay, that was good stuff. And all the people, I saw people complaining about plot holes or something. First off, have you ever seen a Kane Parsons Backrooms video on YouTube? The whole point is that it's massive. Those are purposely left for one to continue expanding the story. Two, he can't pack them all into an hour and 45 minutes. Three, that's better for the actual themes in the actual aesthetic, and it leaves a gap of imagination for the viewers to fill in, and that's what keeps us hooked, right? It was great. It was I thought it was very scary stuff. I thought it was very smart. I appreciate movies that are actually smart. That's okay, let me give you an example to combat this. I watched The Black Phone with my dad and brother the other night. I thought that was going to be cool. I thought it was going to be cool. It wasn't. One, it was weird. It was like very dark for no reason whatsoever, like no reason. Two, it genuinely sucked. Like actually, like I was a hater on the last podcast. I'm gonna be a hater again. Okay, that scene in Black Phone, which I know that movie's been out for a very long time now, but I just saw it. That scene where the kid leans the rugs up against the window and then he like pushes the rope through the rug. That's not how physics works, bro. That's not how physics works. You don't you don't lean the rug. Ropes don't hold structure. They're not stiff. Now, unless that was just like a special rope, if that was a regular floppy rope, I'm pretty sure it was, it wouldn't have been held that stiff at such a steep incline. It would have folded over on itself. All he had to do was lean the rugs up against the window and climb up. He could have done it. Anyone could have done it. It showed him failing, but he could have done it. Or he could have just got hops, jumped up, and grabbed the windowsill and pulled himself up. But you guys probably don't even know what I'm talking about, so I'll be done ranting. The Backrooms was very inspiring. I thought it was a great movie. I love the little camcorder found footage stuff they did. Like the colors were so nice. The shots were awesome. It felt different. It felt unique, but at the same time, it felt like your good, like that good movie. You know, it was unique, but it was also kind of familiar, which that just shows us how great it is, because that's the point of the Backrooms, right? But I'm mostly inspired just because he's young. I don't know anything about him. I don't know anything about him, what kind of person he is or whatever. But that doesn't matter. Okay? I'm still inspired by him because he gave us something dope, and he's young and I'm young. And that inspires me to keep going after my dreams. Keep going, making art, right? So I was really, really happy about that. Now y'all probably wondering, Gunner, stop yapping. You're like, Gunner, stop eating your bacon. But I'm like, bro, it's bacon. I gotta eat it, okay? I won't chew in the camera, don't worry. The camera. This is a microphone, bro. I'm losing my mind. I'm chewing really fast, okay? So I can keep talking. But yeah, where was I? Inspired. Very inspired. Very, very inspired. In fact, if you have been inspired to read some of my stuff, if you've liked what I've been saying on this podcast, if you're curious about some of my work, I have a short story on in my channel description on YouTube that you can get for free. It's a banger short story. All you gotta do is go to my YouTube channel, go to the description, click the link, and follow the instructions, and you can get it for free. And then what I want you to do after you read it, comment or email me. You can email me anytime, anything. Not anything. You can email me though. Email me at imgunnerlane@gmail.com. And yeah, click the link in my description and let me know what you think about that short story. I will be very, very pleased. Now, I write in tons of different genres. And the book I am currently working on right now is way different than that short story. So that's just a little taste for you of just a little bit of my work. But speaking of my book, let's talk about what I have read this week. Last week we talked about Great Expectations. We talked about a little bit of One Piece. I was upset with Great Expectations. I still am. I still have nightmares. And in those nightmares, a dude sits across from me at a little fireplace in England, and he sits there and he reads to me these long paragraphs about the most boring stuff I've ever heard. And they're written with the most atrociously purple prosy Victorian English. And I just sit there and I rock, holding my ears in pain. And then I wake up and pee myself. I hope you guys understand sarcasm because I haven't done that in like a couple months. So why would you even think that's true? Anyway. Yeah, I wasn't really too fond of Great Expectations. So what did I read this week? The answer is nothing. I didn't read anything. I watched The Backrooms twice. Yeah. But last time I was talking about how I was kind of at a hard place with my book. I was saying if my book was a form of matter, it would be a liquid. I felt like it was in this kind of flow state, right? But let me tell you something. The other day, I started beautifully cooking, dude. I mean, the words were just coming out. I could see the story. It was so sounding so beautiful. And I wrote so many words that day. For me, I wrote so many words that day. And I was very proud of it. Now, that's not any information that I can disclose right now because I can't give it away. But I'm very happy right now with the book. It's coming along. It very slowly, but at least it's moving, right? At least it's moving. So yeah, that's about what I've been doing. We've said a lot. I have said a lot. I have yapped a lot, and you have listened to me. I'm very grateful for that. So I'm about to wrap this up, but before I do, I want to let you guys know that I will be reading Flowers for Algernon soon. I promised that a long time ago. I talked about that on the last podcast, and you should be happy to know that I went to the library, and they didn't have it at my library, but I requested it from another library, so I will have that soon to read. I'm pretty excited, and I'm hoping I'll like it. And once I get that finished, we'll have a little section on the podcast where we break out the Sharpies and we rate that sucker on the board. We rate that book on the board of book review rating board. Yeah, we're going to do that, and it's going to be fun. But that was what I wanted to say. If you guys have any book recommendations, put them in the comments. I want to see them. I want to know what you guys read. If you guys have anything to say about this podcast, put it down in the comments. I would love to see what you have to say. If you enjoyed this, subscribe. It's one of the best ways you can help me. But an even better way, click that link in my description, and you can read one of my short stories for free. And then after you're done, email me at imgunnerlane.com and let me know what you thought. And because I would love to connect with you guys more. Also, if you yourself have a short story that you would like to share with me, email it to me, guys. I would love to read them. I would love to see your guys' talents. I would love to see your guys' ideas. So hit me up. I'm gonna enjoy the rest of my beautiful supper that my amazing mom made for me. I thank you. Remember, stay in awe, stay awesome. God loves you. Write from a separate source, not for a separate genre. That's right. See y'all later.